quite so soon, so this is very raw and very relevant to me right now. So just want to flash back a little bit. I grew up in DC, and my mom is here today, and I grew up, I would say, tri-passioned. From a very young age, I loved math. I always remember my first math teacher in second grade. I loved math. I loved organizing. You could find me in my siblings and cousins' closets late at night organizing wherever we went. And thirdly, being active, being fit. I played soccer all the way growing up, and then when I got older, my college years, I got into running, so I've always been into fitness and nutrition and organizing and math from a very young age. So going into college, I really wasn't sure which of those passions I was going to pursue. I was marketing going in, and then at the last minute, I ended up switching to education at the University of Delaware. But before college, I will share that I had a very, very rough adolescence. I had friends, but it was a lot of insecurity and anxiety and just not really knowing who I was and how to fit in. And it was rough. And I went on a bike trip with a youth group. I always went to church, but it was just about going to church and being a good person, and that's kind of like where it ended. And very, very good foundation, but it just didn't go much deeper than that. So anyways, I went on this bike trip with a youth group from Maryland all the way to Nags Head, North Carolina. And it was insane. I mean, we biked in the rain, we ate in the rain, it was nuts. But the cool thing about that trip is it was led by college students that were involved with InterVarsity. And all I knew is that at the end of that bike trip is that when I went to college, forget about getting an education or a degree, I wanted to join InterVarsity. Because people there are really nice, and they'll really love you. And I wanted people to love me and care for me the way I felt on that trip. So when I went to university, when I started school, that was like one of my first agendas is to find this magical InterVarsity and check it out. And basically that first winter, I went on a mission trip to Trinidad and Tobago, and that's pretty ironic because I ended up actually marrying somebody with Trinidad and Tobago or roots, so that's kind of fun. But basically that's when I decided that I wanted Jesus to be real and like a real everyday living part of my life, and not just something that I do, but he be my everything. And that's when I would say I got saved, or I really committed my life to him, and my direction changed from there. So college was bright. I had bright friends, and one of them is here, which means so much to me. This is Leah, and I was given beautiful friends really since that point, which is such a blessing. But so career, when I graduated, I got my first placement. So in school, I knew I was going to do education, but I was also interested. I had elementary education, I had middle school math, and I had special education. And once again, I had no idea what I was going to do. So I put it in God's hand, and I got my first job at Springer Middle School, and I taught 20 students that were a lot of it high needs, either on their way out of the the traditional system, meaning alternative education. On the way out or on the way in. 20 is a lot. High need students in one space, especially with math, especially with all the IEPs and everything. So it was a little bit rough way to start, plus I looked very young. I looked like I was 10, and the kids reminded me of that every day. So in a nutshell, basically, I taught for 8 years, and those were 8 pretty much years of hell, if I could put it very bluntly. It was really, really rough. Every single year, I think I actually cried since student teaching, so actually it started before that, because ironically enough, I had, this is how I think about it, this is actually how I ended up at ValleyPoint. I had 90% of what it took to be a successful teacher. The organization, the planning, the everything. But the 10% that I lacked, was the classroom management. I'm great one-on-one, but having to command the attention and interest of 30 kids, I'm just not that interesting. And I don't look that authoritative, and they just don't feel like they have to listen to me, and on and on. So if you can't get kids to listen, you can't really, it's hard to teach them. And we were both miserable. They were miserable, I was miserable. And ironically, that's why I ended up at ValleyPoint, is the church I was at before, 90% of it was awesome, but the 10%, the worship, which is really, really, really important to me and really, really vital to me, was lacking. And ValleyPoint excels at that. So that 10% even though it's small, can still be very important. So I taught for 8 years, and every year it kind of wore on me because I was like, God, I really feel like I'm called to do this, but I'm really miserable. And at that point, I was at a different church, and we were in a Bible study, like a small group, like a life group, right? Everybody calls them differently, but it was like a life group. And it was very hard for me because so many women in that group kept saying to me, you know, God doesn't want you to be miserable. You must be doing something wrong. And I felt really convicted about, like, I just think about, I don't know, I can't quote scripture very well. I've read a lot of it, but what I do know is that Paul talks a lot about hardship. And, you know, it's not just because you're, it's not always easy, you know, and you're walking, it's not like you're signed up for a joyride being a Christian. And something inside of me felt like I was just supposed to be there. I was just supposed to do it. So every year, I just kind of kept going. I'm very relentless. I just am persistent. And I just was like, whether it was hard or not, I was like, I can do this. I can do this. And I wasn't getting clear direction on like somewhere else, whether, you know, should I go to a private school? Should I go to, I was in middle school, so should I go younger? I didn't know what to do. And in that time, I was also a working mom, right? So at that point, Peyton, our first child, was dropped off at daycare at 7:30, and then he was picked up at 5:30, and we fed him, and he was in bed by 7. And I gotta tell you, I rocked the working mom thing. I did. I mean, I had it down, I had the schedule down, and I liked it. I really was very happy doing that, and I could never see myself being home and being happy being home. That whole like, gosh, I could never be home, right? Like that was kind of me. But emotionally, it was very, 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 very difficult. And part of that also was trying to have a second child. We were blessed with Peyton 1 year, and then Landon is our, on the second. Landon's our miracle baby. He just kind of came one day, and there's lots of, well, kind of. After five plus years later, he was given to us, that was, God really used that, like relinquishing the concept of having more kids or not having more kids, and whether, being happy with one, and I don't know. So that's a whole other story and testimony. But it was hard. Teaching was really difficult, trying to get pregnant, balancing working mom, full-time, all of that. And part of that was every year I got significantly more into a deeper struggle with depression. Hardcore. And until, I guess I'm taking longer than I wish I would, but I'm sorry. But my last year of teaching, I stopped teaching because I had to. I literally, this was 2 years ago. So I taught for 2 months, and then I took a leave of absence from teaching. I don't even remember how I did it, but I did through the holidays. Basically, I took the time off, took a break. It was really good. And then I went back after Christmas. I was kind of, I don't know, I did. And I lasted for about a month or two. And then then things got bad again. And my last month of teaching was May of 2014, and I literally got through May by taking every other day off with my sick days, and the days that I had off, I sat in Starbucks. So Starbucks is a very, very, very special place in my heart, and I built my dream company. So the last time I spoke with you guys, I was launching my MK Organized company, and I had always loved organizing, so I created my dream. I came up with a brand, I came up with a color scheme, I figured out how to design a website, and I literally sat in Starbucks every other day, and I told my principal, I was like, look, I can't teach anymore, I can't do this, but I need health insurance, so we're going to work this out. So I showed up a few days, and I did the best I can. I worked with the principal to make sure, the biggest thing through this whole journey was making sure the kids' needs were met. And we collaboratively made that happen. But I will tell you that, so May, it was a long, long, long May. And the irony is at the end of May, I launched my business. I registered it, went live with it, and stopped teaching. We didn't know how we were going to make ends meet, but stopped teaching, and found out I was pregnant, all within days of each other, which was Um, uh, really insane. So I spent a year organizing, and then we were blessed. Then Landon came to the world, and with that transition, somehow God changed my heart to being a stay-at-home mom. Like, this is what you're gonna do now. And I still organize, and I still did organize, but somehow that became more important. So I stopped marketing my company at that point because God had me home, and I working about childcare and all that. And it was hard. Organizing downstairs sporadic, so that was a little bit, I don't know. So it sat there. But through having Landon, I changed 180 in other ways. I gained a lot of weight when I was pregnant, even though I was active, so I was looking for a way to lose it. So I did a workout challenge to try to lose it, and it worked. It was awesome. It was a great experience. Basically just, just a fitness. I followed a fitness routine. I followed a nutrition plan, and I lost the weight. And I had a natural birth with Landon. That was something I never thought I would do. Got into baby wearing and soft diapering, and I wiped out our entire kitchen. I read a book called Whole30. Totally changed my life. We just went clean. Clean eating is super fun and cool when you're an adult, but not when you're feeding babies, like, and toddlers and all of that. So I made my passion in my work. We talk about work can mean nothing. My work was figuring out how to raise a family in a healthy way. Also learn how to clean. We kind of like haphazardly clean when I was working, but I was like, all right, now that I'm home, I'm gonna learn how to clean. I'm gonna learn how to do this, all right? So I made it my job, and I like to share and help people. So I started sharing my life on social media, which I've always done, but it was a passion for me. I basically, almost a year ago, I decided to kind of turn that passion into more of a career. So I started my own coaching, healthy lifestyle coaching journey blog. And I'm actually launching that new business, launching within the next month. I'm designing a new website right now called mkfitpassion.com, and I encourage you to like my page, to follow my journey. So right now I'm basically making money would be great, so that we could, who doesn't want extra income? But for me, my job right now is God's given me this passion for helping people with this journey and really just sharing my passion for healthy living. And my work is transforming the life of my family, and the more I can pay it forward with other people through this lifestyle coaching experience, awesome. And the really, really beautiful part, and I touched on this a little bit, is my struggle with depression was so significant the last 10 years of my life. So significant. And once you get that low, it's very, very, very hard to come back from it. You kind of like don't have that buffer anymore. Like even like your kids flinging Cheerios everywhere, like enough to like set you off the wall, So I'm very happy to share with you guys that just through having a passion like this, whatever you're passionate about, something to delve into, like so that can be work, it makes you happy. Between this and also the help with Dr. Broyles, who goes here, and kind of looking at my health holistically, I am very happy to say that for the last 2 months of my life, I've been free of meds, free of therapy. Not that there's anything wrong with any of that, but I've been happy. I've been able to feel joy like it wasn't even possible before. I couldn't even like talk myself into it before. And I've decided that this life can be really beautiful. It's worth living. I want to be here. I have a beautiful family. And when bad things, when trials in our life happen, I'm able to cope. Couldn't cope before. So that's how I know I'm really getting better. And it's really, this is really this has been the first 2 months in 10 years where I feel like free. I encourage you to follow my journey. So I've done the working mom thing, awesome. Now I'm doing the stay-at-home mom thing, awesome. And I think through it all, I think work is, anything that brings you joy and it's even better, you can pay forward with that. Use your joy to, or use your passion to, help other people with it. Thank you so much for listening.